Hey guys, Joe here, doing a pretty cool one on an underrated and under the radar piece of equipment, and I think you're going to enjoy it, so stay through the intro, come back, and we will take a look. If you're new to the channel, thanks for checking it out. I really do appreciate it. We'll do some pre-content e-begging, get that out of the way. If you become subscribed, hit the notification bell, leave a comment, a like, all that good stuff. You'll help the channel grow so that I can pick up more stuff like what we're going to take a look at today without having to sacrifice any of my other inventory. So, with that out of the way, this one was provided by Liberty Arms. They're out of Harrisonburg, Virginia. I do work for them, but I don't get a kickback or any kind of discount for saying it on the show, so just go ahead and look them up on Google because the YouTube algorithm does not like links to stores of that nature. But what we're taking a look at today is this guy. This is a Mossberg. I've looked at a Mossberg before, the MC1, which was Mossberg's second pistol since their original Pepper Boxer 4-shot way back before they started doing their long guns and shotguns. But inside this box, nice brown box, looks just like a small single-serve dish pizza, you have a firearm and a spare mag. We'll go ahead and move those to the side real quick. Other than that, you do have this plastic film that the gun comes in. Don't throw that away. You need that if you have to return the firearm for work or warranty. I don't know why, but they ask you to keep that. Underneath, you get your manual and your gun lock. It does have Mossberg's logo on it, which I do like to see on the gun locks. It shows that they're at least taking a little bit of effort to do it. It also comes with this. This was on the grip. I took that off. It just says Mossberg. And that's it for the box. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pistol. Before we get going, let's go ahead and drop the mag, show you that it's clear, and yes, all you guys that still think showing clear is dumb, I'm going to continue to do that because guess what? This isn't just for experienced shooters, this is also for shooters that have never bought a gun, used a gun, cared about a gun, or anything like that, and safety is important. As you can see, you get the firearm and two magazines. One is a flush magazine, one has a extension on it. This gun is 13 or 15 rounds, which is pretty good capacity in this market. It has a 4-inch barrel, which puts it apart from its original predecessor, the MC1. This is the MC2C. I guess they may be making one that's a little bit longer at some point. This is roughly the size of a Glock 19, or more accurately, closer to a Glock 48. I don't have my Glock here, but I do have an airsoft, or actually a pellet Glock. This is a 1-to-1 licensed replica, so it's the exact same size as a Glock 19, so we'll use this for size comparison. And as you can see, it's the same overall dimensions as a standard Glock. Even has slightly similar front and rear strap checkering on it. The triggers sit at about the same height. The recoil springs are about the same height. And when the 13 rounder is in it, again, about the same height. Where they differ is the width. That's why this is more of a 48, because a 48 is about the same size as this too, but it's the same width as this. Another gun to compare it to, again, this is an airsoft 1-to-1 replica, but it's just because I don't have any right now because my Rock Island is in the shop. You can check out that video where I don't even show it because I'm an idiot. But here's a Smith & Wesson M&P. Grip's about the same size, the barrel is slightly shorter. So this is a mid-size gun. I guess you would call it a carry piece, a mid-size carry piece. It's not a compact. In almost every dimension, it's very close to the 365 XL, including capacity, 13 or 15 rounds, depending on which magazine you have in it. This time they are metal, they are not plastic. They look more like CZ mags than Glock mags, because if you recall, the MC1 was interchangeable with Glock 43 mags, or pretty much any single stack Glock mag. But they are drop free. They look to be made by Mec-Gar, even though they aren't labeled. It's just the way where the lettering is and everything. They look very much like Mec-Gar mags. Polymer frame, steel slide, has a little bit of checkering on the side panels, and then the back strap is about the same as the front strap, with a little bit of texturing on the front of the trigger guard. It does have cuts up here for your finger memory notches, which is nice. You have to pay to get that done on a lot of guns. I paid to get it done on my Glock 34. So if you're righty or lefty, your finger will go right there. It's perfectly placed. Or if you're, the grab pull or push pull shooter and you want to put your thumb there, it's a good spot for it. The slide is pretty basic. It does have front and rear slide serrations. The sights are pretty much just the standard 3-dot affair. I'm not sure who manufactures sights for them. They are dovetailed in. That's one thing I would change. I would go to a set of high-vis front night sight rears. Does have a 1913 style pick rail, single slot, so you have to be careful on what's going to fit if it needs to be held in with screw tension through one of the slots. It does have a little bit of an undercut underneath the trigger guard, and your finger gets up nice and high underneath there, which is a nice thing to see. Even with your hand all the way up on the gun, you should be able to avoid slide bite. Obviously, by the lack of the hammer, she is striker fired, and when we take it apart, you'll see it's just like the original MC1. One neat feature, flat face trigger. There you go. Trying to find a good place to put this. One neat feature is it does come with a flat face trigger, and it does have a trigger safety, so there are no external safeties that you have to manipulate with either hand. The slide lock slide release is only on one side. The mag release does look to be reversible because the notch is reversed up here, so that should be reversible. Overall fit and feel of the gun, it feels just like a 48, which I really like. It's a good size, which I really like. It's a nice thinness, which I really like for carrying purposes. And this is my do-it-all in the waist holster, and it fits perfectly. Trigger time. Let's go ahead and talk about the trigger pull. Single action only, so you can see there once you pull the trigger, unless the gun's loaded, it is a dead trigger. But when it is in its ready to go state, the trigger pull is probably 5.5 pounds. So similar to a lot of striker fired guns. You don't feel a lot of slop. You have some take up there, and I can feel it just about ready to release the spring, and then it just drops the striker. So that's pretty nice. The reset on it, audible and tactile. Stops right at the wall when it comes out, so if you can learn to run your trigger to the wall, you should be able to get pretty fast resets. It doesn't feel like there's a false reset, which you can get in some guns. The markings are nice and subtle, just like the MC1. They just did a laser engraving on the sides. Very much reminiscent of a lot of deep impact sockets. If you guys work on cars, you'll know what I'm talking about. That's about it for the outside. Let's go ahead and take her apart. In order to do that, first thing, obviously, make sure she's empty. So one trick that the MC2 shares with the MC1 is that you don't need to pull the trigger to disassemble it. You just have to take off the rear striker plate. The rear striker plate has a little bit of a textured button appearance. You need to push that in while pushing down on the striker plate. I'm not very strong, so I can't do it with just my hand, so I'm gonna do it using this Allen key for a little bit of added oomph. Once you do that, you can go ahead and take that off, and you're actually going to slide the striker and the tube out. Once you've done that, you just let go of the slide release, and again, you don't have to pull the trigger. If you accidentally pull the trigger, you just have to reset it when you go to put it back together. Once you've done that, you can take out the guide rod and the spring, and it is captive, so that's nice. And you just take out your barrel. It's a very standard top of the chamber lockup. Locks up there, no locking lugs, and it uses the Browning tilting action style. So it goes back, drops, tilts a little bit, and that lets the slide go. Inside the slide, you'll see that it's got a standard drop safety there, external extractor there, and then of course the striker tube right there. Changing these out for upgraded parts is really easy because you have to take it out when you disassemble the gun anyway, so that's convenient. The overall fit and finish is the first time I've popped the top off. It looks pretty top-notch to me. So they blued it or Cerakoted it inside as well as outside, but it looks like it's a very slick finish, so hopefully that means it will be a pretty reliable gun out of the box. One thing I tend to do with a lot of my guns, especially my 1911s, is I like to take the finish off of these rails just to make sure that the gun can run along the rails smoother. Taking a look at the frame, it's got nice big metal rails here, and back here it's got smaller ones, but that's okay. This is more important because the middle of your slide is where most of the movement is, and as well as where the pressure is, so you need this more than this. This is going to hold on to most of the slide as it comes back. Back here is just to make sure that it stays straight when it's back there. Striker release, everything sear is back in here. I'm not going to pull the trigger with the top off of it, but there's your trigger bar on one side, your slide lock, slide release on the other. And it looks like it's pretty easy to change the magazine release to the other side. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because I am a right-handed shooter primarily who practices left, even though, yes, I know I'm wearing my watch on the right arm. I've been asked why. I don't know why. My great uncle used to wear his watch like that, and I thought it was cool, and I was a kid, so obviously I did the same thing. Reassembly, as you just saw, is really easy. Just make sure that the spring is sitting in the straight back position. If it's at a super down angle, super up angle, it's going to interfere with the frame. Take your frame, go ahead and start it back. Yeah, since I didn't pull the trigger, it should just slide right there. Bring it back using your slide lock, slide release. Take your striker and the tube and everything, put it back in there. Take your striker plate and just slide it back on like that. Super easy, super simple. And once you've done that, go and make sure you still have, functionality. So, what do I think of the Mossberg MC2C? I keep leaving out the C. I'm just calling it the MC2 because of the MC1. I think it's a nice size. I think it's a totally under the radar gun because technically it's been around for a year. I've seen reviews as long ago as 11 months. However, marketing during the pandemic was low. Probably production, it was not really high on their priority list for Mossberg at the time. But now they're available. They popped up on RSR for the first time since the pandemic. We picked it up. And we got them in, and now we have them at the store. Well, one at the store because this is mine because my Rock Island went back to Rock Island to see what Rock Island thinks about their Rock Island and whether their Rock Island needs a Rock Island rebuild or if Rock Island will allow me to put my Zev extractor in it. There will be an update video on that, and I will be taking this out to the range probably this weekend and putting some rounds through it. I was trying to do that with the Rock Island when the extractor broke. So Booski on that one. Leave it down in the comments if you would actually sign up to some social medias. I do have Instagram, I do have Twitter, but I don't use them much. It's a very toxic environment and I try to avoid it as much as possible, but if it's necessary for the growth of the channel, I'm willing to do it. Leave me a comment, suggestions, all that good stuff. I answer most comments unless they're just blatantly stupid, and then, you know, I just ignore them. So, you can try. I'm out of here. Come back for the firing video as well as another mystery box unboxing for Airsoft because I have another one coming. And I'm out of here. So until next time, we'll talk to you later.